Hi, I'm Christie from Christie Barbecues. We're a proud sponsor of AILA and we're really excited to be part of this year's virtual Landscape Conference. We want to say thank you to all the landscape architects for the great work they do for our industry and for our communities. We're going to run through a brief Q&A session on some commonly asked barbecue related questions, but feel free to reach out if you'd like more information. Really, commercial and traditional domestic barbecues are designed for more of a personal use. So I think the biggest difference in a public barbecue is the ease of use and the automation. So they're generally a single push button, very easy to use, automatic timeout, and they have generally built-in safety features. So with ours, we do have a automatic sterilization cycle, managed preset temperature control, and also the automatic cutoff. And the design is generally a lot more simple, much easier to clean, designed for a lot more intensive use, and also designed to last in the elements for a lot longer than a domestic or a traditional commercial barbecue as well. Christie Barbecues, in terms of other just barbecue manufacturers or public barbecue companies, is that really public barbecues is all that we do. We don't operate in the domestic space. We don't operate with street and park furniture. We don't operate in any other space really. We're a dedicated public barbecue manufacturer. We're probably the only public barbecue manufacturer in the world. So it's a big point of difference for us. It's really a focus of ours, and it's been that way for basically 50 years, I think 55 years now, and we've found that it's core to our clients. Our focus of our staff is to be dedicated to public barbecues. It allows us to be experts on specific public barbecue issues. It allows us to remain focused on innovation and development, and I think the benefits of seen in our market penetration and our longevity of our history is just a testament to that. Sustainability is very important to us, and as an appliance manufacturer, it's very challenging. It involves far more than recycling and power consumption. It's about the overall carbon footprint of our products, and that throughout the entire life cycle. It's why we source 80% of our components from local suppliers. Most of those are here in Melbourne and the southeast suburbs. And unless it's extremely necessary, we don't source components from overseas. In the design of the products and the packaging, we make sure that they're recyclable wherever possible. That means that most of the packaging is recyclable, and the products themselves are made of stainless and aluminium that can be recycled. We try not to use plastics and other products that can't be recycled. And in the design of the products, it also means that we steer away from some of the complex electronic systems that, in particular, low-powered appliances do suffer from. This includes extensive wiring, transformers that are very difficult to manufacture and source, and then also very difficult to dispose of at the end of their life. We pride ourselves on making sure that our barbecues are robust as possible, making sure that they last for a long period of time, that they're easy to service, and that parts are readily available for them. This really does offset a lot of the replacement costs and the issues that go along with them. They're designed to not be a consumable item. They're designed to be serviced. We're always innovating and making sure that we're at the forefront of our industry. That means that every year we're looking at how we can improve the efficiency of the product and increase the sustainability of the products, the way that we service them, and the way that we make them. This doesn't just end with a product. Our production facility has got a dedicated solar and battery system, which we use to offset the majority of our infrastructure and assembly costs. For us, it doesn't end there. We look at that across our supply chain. I mentioned this earlier when it comes to where we source our components from. It's a very important piece of what we do and making sure that we minimize waste across our entire supply chain. Solar-powered barbecue is something that we get asked about quite a lot. And over the years, we've done a lot of testing around solar and solar operation of barbecues. First and foremost, for remote applications where solar would be a good idea for running barbecues, we encourage all of our clients or customers to look at gas operated barbecues first, which is natural or LPG gas, with solar assisted batteries to run the operation of the barbecues. That is a really good cost effective way to tackle those remote locations. In terms of general solar barbecues, in particular in high dense populated areas, we've found that the infrastructure required to power a standalone hot plate or a double hot plate cabinet is quite significant. And in most instances, if that spend was put onto council infrastructure, so buildings or shelter roofs, powering a park or even connected to the grid, is the best use of those funds to offset any usage that would be able to be obtained or saved from powering the barbecues. So in terms of that, in terms of solar barbecues, we're all for it, but probably not best to include build them in just to power the barbecues. That cost could be much better allocated to connecting it to the grid or putting them on other infrastructure. So definitely, I think everybody would be well aware that smart cities and the Internet of Things is becoming the norm. With our barbecues, since about 2012, we've had technically a smart barbecue, but one of the barriers to that was communications. So unless you're physically on site with a laptop, you weren't able to get any of the data out of the barbecue. It was the start of last year, which was 2019, that we actually invested in an IoT compatible barbecue, which we partnered with Smart Sensor to introduce to market. And that really is where we are seeing that the space will go. Smart barbecues offer a whole raft of benefits to clients, which can primarily reduce operating costs, cleaning costs, maintenance costs, and make sure that assets are utilised and put in locations that are effective. And if they're not, they can be redeployed somewhere else. So the barbecue is extremely smart itself, and being able to now communicate those faults, usage data is something that we see becoming more popular than ever. Similar to when we moved to our smart barbecue controller in 2012, is we redesigned the cooktop or our barbecue appliance to be a drop-in unit. So we took the normal button off the door that you traditionally would see in parks and actually built that into the hot plate or the cooking surface. So now what we have is a drop-in appliance that can be really built into any structure, and the same for replacement and upgrades. It makes it extremely easy to do so. This means by maintaining a few critical dimensions of cutout hole in the bench and height and space requirements, is you can just about drop these things into anything. This is marble bench tops, custom made stainless kitchens, And we've started to really see an increase in that in high-rise apartments, resort living, and again, landscape architects really do have ultimate flexibility with where they choose to put barbecues. I do see that we're going to see a decentralization of assets, and what I think that will mean will be we'll see hubs of cooking and picnic areas rather than a traditional bank or group of barbecues. So for us, what we expect to see in the coming years will be more individual cooking appliances. So we may see just single bench barbecues with their own picnic settings. So we see that there may be some segregation or separation of park users when it comes to cooking. But again, we'll take that in our stride and tailor whatever products that we have to suit the requirements of the industry. Low-powered barbecues are something we get asked about all the time. It's an important piece of everything that we do, and probably the most important piece. All barbecues and public barbecues require a certain amount of power to get the job done effectively. It is the task to cook a cold plate of food, often large volumes of cold food, over and over again all day long. The amount of energy required to cook that food is the same. The certain amount of power to cook food efficiently, we've found, is what we rate our element at, is 3.5 kilowatts. That's the optimum amount of power to cook a plate full of food in the appropriate amount of time. Take a kettle, for example. Most kettles are rated at 1.7 kilowatts. You need X amount of energy to get into that kettle to boil the water. If you decrease the power, it's going to take much longer to boil. Yes, you can increase that, but what happens is, in our scenario, is that you increase the power of a barbecue, and often all you do is char and burn the outside of the food without actually cooking the food properly. With us, the balance is very important. Making sure that we don't put too much energy into the food that's going to lead to a bad user experience, and making sure we don't reduce it too low that it takes too long to cook, and often using much more energy over a longer period of time than right in the middle where we are. There are certain applications that reducing the power consumption of barbecues would be appropriate, and they're generally domestic applications. In the real world environment, where public barbecues are used, and used in high volumes day in, day out, all of our testing shows that our 3.5 kilowatt is the best balance of both power, time, and user experience. When it comes down to it, nothing really compromises or compares with that. And part of our brand is we don't want to compromise. All of our testing, development, will review this daily, weekly, yearly, and making sure that any product that we release is fit for purpose, continues to be at the forefront of our industry. So our barbecue, we've had a number of different variations to the cooking surface over the years and the design of those. But we always come back to a flat plate design. It is the most versatile. Open grill is great for cooking at home, but it is not ideal for cooking in public parks that are multiple different people will be using. So in terms of the design for multiculturalism, in particular different foods, is we've found that the flat grill plate or teppanyaki plate or hot plate is the most effective surface for just about everything that one would want to cook. So that's all from us. I appreciate your time, and as I said earlier, please feel free to get in touch with us if you have any more questions. Thank you very much from the team at Christie Barbecues.